If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the breakfast line here at the shelter for the migrant caravan, and this is some of those women and children that you've been seeing, and some of them may be eligible for asylum in the United States. They are the minority of this caravan. Instead, most of the members of this caravan, this is a line for single men that you can see, and it stretches much longer as it does every single morning. Many of these men tell us that they heard in Honduras that it would be easy to cross into the United States. Some of them told us that they had heard that there were work programs that they would be eligible for. And so now that they are here in Tijuana and they have realized that it is very difficult to get into the United States.
They were sold a bill of goods. That's the reality. A lot of these people were sold a massive bill of goods. They understand. The governments Mexico doesn't want people to, especially poor people who aren't doing anything for the Mexican economy, to sit around in Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, anywhere else, if they have a chance to get to America. Their biggest export is their people, because that money will flow back into the country. My grandfather came here, he did it right, from Mexico. He supported his entire family. He supported his entire family. His mother, his brother, his other brother, his aunt. He supported everybody. Even though he did it right. Started businesses, came here, did the whole 9 yards. Visa, waited, got lucky, got in. Did it right long ago. Took a long time for him to become a citizen. But understand that them coming to this country is a help for them, but it's a help for their family and their countrymen. That's the big thing. And then they got to the border and they found out, lo and behold, they were sold a bill of goods.
Some of them are deciding to turn back. This is a tent that's been set up by a bunch of different governmental agencies here in Mexico. But this is where people come if they want to go back to Honduras or Guatemala or El Salvador. These are people that have decided that it is time to go back and that they don't have the opportunities that they wanted here.
Yeah. Then they don't. And they were sold this bill of goods. I worked in San Diego for a while in radio, and we were owned by he owned stations in Mexico and in America, and one of the things that he had we would get commercials for both sides of the border, if you will, and they would have commercials talking about on the American side, talking about how you can go back to vote in Mexico and do all these kind of things. And on the Mexican side, talking about how you come to America and some of the things that you could be potentially eligible for and things like that. These nations aren't doing anything to dissuade their people from leaving. They're not saying, hey, stay. They're like, no, go. Good luck. Can we pack you lunch? Do you need anything? Be careful. Be careful, but they got all kinds of stuff for you. And for a lot of people, they don't understand that. Plus, there's also, I think, a sense if you've got a lot of people that are already in this country here illegally, and some of them legally, and they're telling their family members, look, if you get through the border, there are programs that you might be able to get yourself into because we were able to do it, or we can help you out with some stuff. So it's not just the government. There's also people on this side. And they found now that, hey, there is a wall here. There is something here. And that something, for all intents and purposes, is Trump. That's it. Trump. In the end, look, of all the things that Trump has done for his craziness, and we'll touch on the Mueller stuff and a few of the other things coming up, but for all of the stuff, he's been steadfast in two things. One since he said he was going to run for president, and that's immigration. The other one is trade. And you can go back to the 80s, right, in interviews and see how he talks about trade and the way that he looks at trade and tariffs and things of that nature. But Trump is not the last guy. The last guy sort of turned a blind eye. We're at a 12-year low as far as illegal immigration in this country. People are just, and the last time we were in and around this area, the economy was starting to slow down, and boom. It's a situation now where they're running into, even though we need workers in this country, even though we have a booming economy, I think some of them are starting to get the message. This isn't what you want. And Trump is one of these guys that, and maybe the surprise one. We're going to talk to Steve Cortez from CNN in a little bit, talking about immigration. And he works with Trump's 2020 reelection campaign. And I tell you what, it's a very interesting thing because Trump is doing something that he said he was going to do. And I'm always amazed when he says, I'm going to go do this. And then everybody's like, no, you're not going to do this. And then he goes and does it. And then people are like, wow, he said he was going to go do that. And he did it.
The bottom line is Donald Trump was right to call the Caravan out weeks ago. He's right to make sure it never crosses the border. People throughout the world are watching the president. If he blinks here, his credibility on securing the border is dead. He's not going to blink.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to blink. He's not going to back down. He's not going to blink. He is going to continue to do what he's doing, and he's going to continue to do it over and over and over again until they're forced to do something about it. Now, come January 15th, obviously, with what's going on with the Mueller investigation, then the House going back to the Democrats, his next year and a half, 2 years is going to be testy at times. It is going to be full of investigations. It is going to be uncomfortable and ugly at times. But I still don't think he's going to back down from any of this. I do not think he's going to back down at all. And, of course, we're going to sit back here and over the next coming weeks and months, and the debate's going to begin, whether it's Manafort and Assange and the Mueller investigation, all of this stuff, which, everybody's trying to tie everything together. Who knew what? Who knew this? Who knew that? Let me ask you a question, all right? And the perfect thing for the Russia investigation. I was talking to somebody earlier. I've made this point on numerous occasions, and I'm telling you guys right now, I am 100% positive. If you would have told Hillary, we can get to somebody like Julian Assange, and he's got dirt that could potentially hurt Donald Trump, and because of this, you're going to win the presidency. But it's going to come with a lot of scrutiny. It's going to come with a lot of heat. It's going to come with a lot of hell. But there's a good chance you may not win the presidency without it. Do you think she would have done it? Bet your candy ass she would. You bet your candy ass she would have done it in a heartbeat. Because first of all, the Clintons feel like they're Teflon, right? Like nothing sticks to them. And she's used to heat, right? She's fine with the heat. So I don't think she would have cared. And she would have done it in a heartbeat.
The latest developments center on former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who, as you know, is still holed up inside Ecuador's embassy in London, where he's been hiding for years. When we left you last night, Manafort had just been accused in a court filing of repeatedly lying to investigators, thereby breaching his plea deal with the special counsel. Then today, this. Britain's Guardian newspaper reporting that Manafort met secretly with Assange several times at the Ecuador embassy in London.
Now, he's denied all of that, says I've never met the guy, I've never been there, and this is the debate that's going to be going on over and over again. WikiLeaks has basically challenged the Guardian, said, hey, prove that he's done this, prove that he's been here, prove that he's done any of these things, and we'll pay you $1 million. Oh, Yeah. Let's have a bet. Let's bet this thing. So, but Manafort is playing a game. He's playing a game. But I will say this. It is getting on Trump's nerves. A good majority of his tweets are about it. He's annoyed about it. And several reasons, right? It's not just, well, he's worried he's going to get caught with something, because there's going to be some stuff in there politically, I'm sure, that's going to be damning to a lot of people. But those people already don't like Trump. Some people might go, but I kind of thought that. But in the end, it wasn't Hillary, so I'm moving on. And, and there's also going to be some stuff in there that I think that's going to come out, too, that's going to be kind of damning towards the Mueller investigation. And the people on the left are going to be like, oh, no, he's above reproach. And the people on the right are like, yeah, slow your roll. So there's a lot of this stuff that's going to go on. Nothing's going to change. But I'll tell you one of the big reasons I tell you that Trump hates this, besides the obvious of what if he really did do something and got caught, is no matter whatever happens for a lot of people in this country, half of it, there will always be an asterisk by his name. And that drives him crazy. Right? That drives, like, he's not a legitimate president. And even if he gets cleared 100%, and so do his kids, and it was just a bunch of rogue elements who were trying to pad their pockets, it will never ever be the way that Trump dreamed of being president, which is him feeling like he's legitimate. And I think that will always bug the crap out of him. There will always be an asterisk by his name. And that's something that I think eats him up more than anything else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Casper is amazing. Slept. So I'm getting the best sleep. It is incredible. I go, I relax, I get on my bed. It's the alignment in my back and my neck and everything. As it gets colder outside, I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking to myself, normally my feet, my body would hurt. Nothing. It feels amazing. Switching to Casper is a no-brainer. Here's the thing. You want to sleep comfortable, you want to sleep cool, but you want to be in a situation where the pressure relief and the alignment is perfect so your body feels amazing when you wake up. That's what Casper is all about. Comes to you, right to your door. You don't have to go anywhere. There's no showroom, any of that stuff. Comes right to your door in a little itty bitty package. You're like, how do they do that? You don't have to add water. Pop, you open it up. Boom, there it is. Try it for 100 nights in your own home. Risk-free. If you don't like it, they're going to come pick it up. No questions asked. Refund your money. 100 nights. Think about that. 35,000 five-star reviews of all of their products across Casper, Google, and Amazon. Try it for 100 nights risk-free. Go to Casper.com. Use my code CHAD. Save you $50 toward the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code CHAD. Casper.com, code CHAD. Casper.com, code CHAD. Terms and conditions apply. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Black Friday sales up over $6 billion. Cyber Monday sales nearly $8 billion. And small businesses across the country racked up more than $17 billion in sales on Small Business Saturday. All those numbers up from last year. There were about 9 million fewer people visiting brick-and-mortar stores, but they made up for it in online sales. Amazon posted strong numbers, as did Kohl's and Old Navy. There was also a 50% increase this year in BOPIS sales. If you didn't know what that is, it stands for Buy Online, Pick Up in Stores, and shoppers seem to love it.
Yeah, how about that? We're spending money. The economy looks okay, despite some of the political unrest. According to Bankrate, which I love Bankrate, we have our guy on I think we'll have him on next week, right? Everybody's going to come on, the guy with the greatest voice in the world. And the reality is we're still a nation that is very much pocketbook politics. We feel okay. But according to Bankrate, 43% of people worried that in the next 6 months to a year, if something was going to happen that was going to have adverse effects on the economy, it is the government. Something that D.C. does that is going to cause a nightmare. That's what people are worried about. Whether it's tariffs, the battle over Mueller and Trump and impeachment and all of these things, the instability in the stock market. Because remember, stock market likes stability. They don't care who's in charge. They give money to both sides. They don't see party. They want stability. That's all they want. Stability. How can we be stable? That's it, period. Right now, according to the Fed, we're okay. We're in a good position. We're moving along. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a slowdown here or there. But the reality is if we continue on this way, I think it's going to be a good year, and it could set up potentially for next year to be a good year. But at some point in time, it is coming. Is it going to be a mini recession? Another 2007? I don't know. But at some point in time, it's coming. It just doesn't look like it's coming right now, which is good. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Steve Cortez is going to join us a little bit. He's from CNN. He's a political pundit over there. He's going to talk about what's going on at the border, the nightmare that's happening there, and what the president thinks about all this as he's part of the 2020 Trump re-elect committee. So it'll be interesting to pick his brains. Before we do any of that, though, kids, as we like to do, a treat for you every single day, just because every once in a while you just need a little bedtime mint, and that is what this is. It's our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Now, we're going to dig into this one a little bit later if I have a chance to get to it, but for sure, if not today, tomorrow. But blackfishing. I just found this one today. It's very interesting. Blackfishing is when you're not black, but you pretend to be black. And we know about, what was her name? What was that crazy chick's name? God, what was her name? The one that pretended to be part of the NAACP and all that stuff. She was great. Oh yeah, Dolezal, Rachel Dolezal. That was blackfishing. But a lot of other people are doing it, particularly at Instagram and elsewhere. And when you hear that, you're going to be like, oh, I know what that is. Blackfishing is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We just have to say it all together. Merry Christmas. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, kids. Just want to say that. Trump lighting the national tree tonight. Hey, ExpressVPN is amazing, easy to use. You want to protect yourself? You want to make sure that your data is hidden? This is what it's all about. They're incredible. One single click. It runs seamlessly in the background of your computer or phone, tablet. It is amazing. You're going to love it. Costs less than $7 a month. It's going to protect, well, your data. It's going to protect it anonymizes, secures your entire internet browsing, encrypting all of that data. It's awesome. 30-day money-back guarantee. Grab it right now, and this is what they're going to do. 3 months free with a year package. 3 months free with a year package. Get it right now. ExpressVPN.com/Benson. ExpressVPN.com/Benson. 3 months free with a 1 year package. ExpressVPN.com/Benson to learn more. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. ChadBenson. He looked all smiles tonight lighting that tree. How about those apples, kids, is what he said. Steve Cortez joins us straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The border is crazy. Stuff's happening. One thing Trump has been straightforward with is this is the hill that he's going to lie down on. And immigration, is particularly south of the border, is a place where he said he's had enough. Joining us now, CNN political commentator, part of Trump's 2020 re-elect committee, Steve Cortez. And Steve, let me ask you. I look at this, and you know the Democrats are surprised. And I think a lot of people are surprised that Trump has really said, "Look, we're going to stop this. We're going to do everything we can." And after all that he's done over the last couple of years, I still am shocked that people are surprised that he keeps his word when he says this isn't going to happen.
Right. No, I agree. I'm shocked that they're shocked, right? But I guess one reason for that is we're so unaccustomed to politicians actually doing what they promised, particularly what they promised as campaigners, right? And this president has been the opposite of that. He has followed through step by step on his promises as a candidate now that he is the president. And by the way, the only reason he hasn't fully followed through on his promise to build the wall is because, unfortunately, he can't do it alone, and he needs help from Capitol Hill. And he obviously didn't get it so far. I don't think he's going to get it going forward, given that Nancy Pelosi will likely be the next speaker. But regardless, he's doing what he can as president to make our country safe. This was a foundational issue of 2016, of the entire movement of his candidacy, was that we can no longer tolerate what we've tolerated for decades in this country, which is basically an open border, an incredibly, at best, it's a porous border. At worst, it's an open border. A million or so illegal immigrant workers a year flooding the U.S. labor market. It doesn't make sense for our economic security, our national security. And on top of that, look, I'm the son of an immigrant from Latin America. As an Hispanic and as an immigrant son, it's also brutally unfair to legal immigrants like my dad, to people who came here the right way and went through the hard process, lengthy process to become an American citizen the right way. Totally disrespectful to them to say that others can cheat the system and hop the line.
You know, the thing you always hear is xenophobia, racist. It's because they're brown people. That's the way. And the reality is that, look, I want to fix the entire system. Our visa system is a joke. The ports are a mess, and they're a real sieve, including drugs and everything else. And it's not just this. This is the side we see, though. And this is the side where politics is involved, because there's not really a lot of politics. Somebody coming from Russia and overstaying their visa, they don't have political power. Somebody coming in from China or Southeast Asia who maybe gets through the ports, the reality is they're not a powerful political movement, where people south of the border, because of our makeup in this country, they are a political movement. I don't think people understand that.
Right. Oh, and listen, and it's such a canard for the left to try to say that if you care about sensible immigration restrictions in this country, and if you care about securing our border, that that's somehow racist. You know, first of all, America's not a race, so I just reject that out of hand. Right? America's a multiracial, multi-ethnic democracy, and American citizenship has never been about blood purity. It's about, for newcomers, it's about people who come here legally, who believe in our values and are going to add to our system. It's not about their color at all. On top of that, I'd also point out, I think there's an important fact that the Border Patrol, CPB, is the most Hispanic agency of the federal government. It is actually majority Hispanic. So the idea that those brave officers down there, who I think have acted really professionally so far and bravely protecting our country under some really bad circumstances, and they have to deal with terrible laws that put bad restrictions on them, the majority of those folks doing that, they are Hispanic American citizens. So this is not a race issue. This is not a color issue. It's a law and order issue, and we want to protect all Americans, whatever their color is, from illegality at the border, and from, again, too, the economic and national security consequences of tolerating massive illegal immigration, which is something we've done way too long in this country.
Absolutely. Steve Cortez joining us, CNN political commentator on the Re-elect Committee for Trump 2020. So I look at this thing and I say to myself, I can have empathy, I can have understanding, but as I try to tell people, I do the same thing these people would do, just like anybody would do. The reality is, if we want to get mad at people, we need to get mad at our lawmakers, because both of them turn a blind eye all the time, because the system that's broke, that affects us, affects them in a positive way, because it's a political place and it's a place where they can raise money. And that's the thing that I think people need to put your anger in the right place, because we've got, as I call them, on our our Congress is nothing but middle management that does very little.
Right. No, listen, I think you make a great point. And by the way, the tolerance, if not encouragement, for illegal immigration in this country until Trump, it really found bipartisan support. Let's just be honest. This was not just a Democratic issue. On the Republican side, the Chamber of Commerce types love National Chamber of Commerce. I'm not talking about your local ones, which are generally fabulous, but I mean the Washington, D.C. big business lobby. Loved illegal immigration. Why? Because it's cheap labor, and big business loves that. And then on the Democratic side, they love it because what do they see? They see the potential for new votes, that if we can amnesty these people, we're going to have a massive new voting bloc that's going to be good for us. And on top of that, they think, I don't agree with this, but they think that U.S. Hispanic citizens are all soft on immigration, so they think it's a winning political issue for them there. So both sides, Republicans and Democrats, for a long time in this country, saw a winning political strategy in tolerating, and as I said, if not encouraging illegal immigration. But guess who paid the price? Working class Americans, particularly in the labor market. Trump came along and saw this, said this is crazy, our laws are crazy, and our tolerance for those laws being broken is nuts. We're going to start to fix this. We're going to have a wall. We're going to clamp down on illegal immigration. And it's one of the, if not the foundational reason he won, it's certainly one of them, why he won in 2016. But I think, too, look, that's the past. From here forward, what can we do? I think you're exactly right. I don't begrudge those young men, and let's face it, that the Caravan is overwhelmingly young.
Yeah, absolutely.
The media wants us to believe a false narrative that it's a bunch of moms and babies. That's just not the preponderance. I mean, and this is factually correct. The preponderance of the Caravan is young men. I don't begrudge them wanting to come to the United States because I think I would too, particularly if I lived someplace like Honduras. However, I do begrudge them waving a foreign flag and trying to literally break and enter into our country and do it on their own terms. That's not okay. Can't be tolerated. But you're exactly right. Really, shame on us for having the kinds of laws that we do. For instance, our asylum laws, well-intended, right? We do want to protect people who are literally fleeing persecution because of their political beliefs, their gender, their race. Those kinds of people who are in danger in the world have always found asylum, properly so in America. We have a great heart for them. If you're a Christian, for instance, running from ISIS for your life, that's not what's going on with this Caravan. These are economic migrants who want economic improvement. And I can say that factually because we know that from those three countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, only 10% of those who apply for asylum are ever granted it. So overwhelmingly, these are not legitimate asylum seekers. They're trying to game our system. And we know that, again, by the numbers, because the numbers have gone up 17-fold asylum seekers over the last decade. And by the way, things are bad in Honduras, but they're actually getting better over time. Crime rates are actually going down. They're still incredibly high. I'm not, dismissing the reality on the ground. But you know what else? Before we take care, if we were to say anyone who comes from a tough place in the world with economic hardship or crime can automatically come to the United States and get asylum, think of how unfair that is to American citizens who live in tough places. I live in Chicago, and the west side of this city, a lot of young men, most of them minorities, they have it tough. They live in dangerous, crime-ridden places, go to bad schools, don't have economic opportunity. Are we going to take care of Honduran young men before we take care of Chicago's young men? I think that's lunacy, and I think President Trump knows that.
Yeah, it is absolute lunacy, and it's very interesting when I look at this. As we talk to Steve Cortez, CNN political commentator, about what's going on at the border, but what's happening here. I want you to listen to what Elijah Cummings said the other day, and this sums up everything that we, when I think about middle management and the way that they approach things.
No, I think that we have a system that has worked for a long time. This president has come in, wants to change it. That's up to him. But now the Congress has got to stand up, and hopefully they will.
Do you think what he's doing is constitutional?
I don't know. We'll see.
No, the system's not broke. It's been working for a long time. How would I know if the system works, Elijah? Because nobody on either side puts the system to the test and actually enforces the laws. So how do I know if the system works if you guys don't actually use the system itself?
Right. Well, look, and we know the system is not working. I mean, that's ludicrous. For instance, to me, the worst part of the whole immigration situation presently, considering our present laws, is the visa lottery system, right? The fact that we literally allow people by chance to have entry into the United States, some of whom, by the way, look, most of them well-intentioned, obviously, but some of whom have become terrorists in the United States. And that's just a fact. That's not me making that up. That is a fact. The one who drove the van down and mowed people down in Battery Park in New York City, he got here because of the visa lottery system. And it's an insanity. It's almost laughable if people weren't actually hurt by it. It's almost laughable to think of the idea that we would allow people to come to the United States because they want a game of chance, because their hat was their name was pulled out of a hat, effectively. So the idea that it's working is absurd. I think even most people on the left, obviously not Congressman Cummings, but I think even most people on the left will concede that our immigration system at present is in need of reform. And by the way, look, this doesn't make us anti-immigrant. The United States loves immigrants. We have almost 50 million non-citizens living in this country, most of them legally. A lot of them green card holders, married to citizens, that sort of thing. 10 to 20 million, depending on which study you believe, illegally. But clearly, this is a country that loves immigration and that has done it incredibly much better than any country in the history of the world, quite frankly. So we love immigration, but it's not nativist or racist to say that we can do it far better and that we will not tolerate illegal immigration.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting moving forward. Love having you on. Steve Cortez, CNN political commentator, also helping Trump out in 2020. He's on the election committee, re-elect committee. Appreciate you coming on, Dave. Look forward to talking again, man.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. You can talk about this all day. The reality is like Elijah Cummings, a perfect example of, well, the system's really not broke. We should keep it the way it is. Well, why? It doesn't work. At least as far as we know, it doesn't work because people aren't stopping. They're still coming here. They're getting through. Nobody's enforcing the laws. That sounds like a broken system, but it's broken to people who look at it and like, well, this is right, this is wrong. If you're part of the problem and you make money on that problem, you make yourself relevant on that problem, then you don't see the problem because you don't want to fix something as far as you're concerned isn't broken. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the Alt-Middle, where solutions live and ignorance dies. The Chad Benson Show.
It ended with the recovery of a toy gun and a 16-year-old student taken into custody.
At first, I thought it was a drill, but she told me, Mommy, it's not a drill. It's not a drill.
The police department voicing new concerns about our safety. As gun violence grows, police officers believe more crimes are being carried out by dummy guns, pellet or BB guns.
The other side of the state, in Sioux City, officials want to ban some toy guns. The city council wants to ban pellet and BB guns. The ordinance would not apply to Nerf or squirt guns.
Yeah, you can't do the Nerf guns. I love Nerf guns. Took Jack and my little brothers last week. Went to the Nerf. There's this place you got in SoCal, and I'm from Southern California, so I can say that. And it's awesome. You go in this room, and it looks like it's like the back lot of some movie. It's a huge warehouse, and they've got just hundreds of Nerf guns. You just pick your Nerf guns, you start blasting, and now they got rivals with shoot the little bullets. So you can't carry those in this Iowa town. You can carry those. But they're getting rid of all these kind of toy guns. And I'm telling you, I've gone into some stores and I've looked. I see why it happens. I absolutely do. 100%. These guns look real. And so Sioux City says, you know what? Now, we're going to adopt an ordinance that bans some toy guns from being carried and BB guns because they look real. And part of it is you want it to look real, but in saying that, it also is a situation where when you see something that real, if you're in if the neighbor sees you doing something and you're doing it, and in doing it, the neighbor doesn't know that you're out just having fun, all of a sudden, that becomes a real issue. Just in case things go a little bit south, you don't know what's happening. He or she calls the police. It can get ugly fast, and we hear about it a few times a year that some of this stuff goes south, and I got no problem with that. It's one thing when they're bright, and they look totally ridiculous, and you go, that's not real. This isn't one of those times. A lot of these guns I see nowadays, I think most of you agree, are kind of the same thing. It's just, it looks as real as it gets.
If you've ever wondered what kind of mixer Led Zeppelin used when they recorded Stairway to Heaven, it was actually a mixing desk called a Helios console. The same one, it turns out, used by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Get up, stand up. Years later, that recording console was combined with another one to make a giant piece of musical furniture that kind of looks like an electric organ. The long list of names who have used one side or the other includes Eric Clapton, the Rolling Stones, and David Bowie. That super console's expected to fetch 6 figures at the British auction house Bonhams.
How about that? Would you like to have something? I was watching something today. It was something from Zeppelin would be cool because I'm not much of a collector of stuff, but it was Brian May was sitting there and they were going over in the studio all of the old tapes of Bohemian Rhapsody and how they put it together. And it was very interesting because he was pulling out the tapes, and it was old school, like it was tape. And he was showing, like, on the liners, like, Freddie was an art major, so he doodled all over him. That must be worth thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars. There was good stuff, and you could see some of the writing. But you think to yourself, man, that's in your house. Could you imagine having some of that stuff? How cool that would be. And again, I'm not a huge collector of stuff. I've got a few because I like horror movies. No, horror, like monster movies. I've got a few of those things that are out there that I collect and I keep. And I got a couple other little movie memorabilia because my friends have worked on movies. And, hey, dude, I figured you'd like this. One of which is like, I don't ever talk about it much, but I got original Jack Skeleton from Night Before Christmas. My buddy worked at the Green Jelly Studios. But it's awesome. That stuff is crazy. I would love to have something like that because that's history, right? Isn't that cool? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So there's an Irish soccer team. I'm not talking about this Irish soccer team. They're playing in Ireland, right? So you got an Irish football team, soccer team. So you got to say soccer over there because they have Irish football. It's totally different, right? So there's this Irish football team called Ballyback. And we're going to apologize if we offended anybody. But we didn't want to play a football game, a soccer game. We said, no, we don't feel like playing this game. So we're going to make something up so we can have the game cancelled. And so we're just going to say that one of our players died, but he really didn't die. They said he died in a traffic accident. So they cancelled the game. But he really, he wasn't. He even said, I thought they were going to make something up like, I broke my leg or something. No, they killed him off. And we're sorry about killing him off. Fernando Lafuente is in fact alive. And we just didn't really want to play the game. We were hungover. We had, we were out. We got pissed the night before. You know what goes sometime. We were going to be missing him. So we thought to ourselves, let's just make up something. And we'll tell everybody Fernando's dead. But when he wants to play again, that's going to be miraculous. The Irish are the best. You got to love that. How do we get out of this? I don't know. Just say somebody died. All right, sounds great. And the guy's like, I thought I was going to play again. I thought you were just going to hurt me. No, they're like, yeah, that was, looking back on it, was probably not the right thing to do. They're going to be a lot of trouble. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Could you imagine that? That thing was totally unraveling on them. And it's on the back pages of all of the things, papers over in England. And you don't want to be there. You don't. You don't want to be there. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The latest developments center on former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who, as you know, is still holed up inside Ecuador's embassy in London, where he's been hiding for years. When we left you last night, Manafort had just been accused in a court filing of repeatedly lying to investigators, thereby breaching his plea deal with the special counsel. Then today, this. Britain's Guardian newspaper reporting that Manafort met secretly with Assange several times at the Ecuador embassy in London.
Now, we're going to get deeper into the Manafort thing a little bit later, what it means for Trump and why I think, and this whole witch hunt and the whole 9 yards. But I played that because Trump today said, I'm not going to rule out a pardon for Manafort. I'm sorry. You're a clown if you do that. You are. You are. Look, the guy committed crimes, right? That may not have been what they were looking for, but they found it. And you even thinking about this that's a clown-like move. I'm serious. That is. And it frustrates me because, look, I get it. You're frustrated. I get it, right? I get you're frustrated. I get the fact that there's a lot of things that go into this, and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into that in a little while about why it is the way it is and how frustrated you are and what you think about some of these things. But he's still guilty. right? He's still guilty. That's the reality of this. That's the reality of this. He's still guilty. And if you go and give him a pardon, that is a massive joke. And it's a slap in everybody else's face. He still committed crimes. That's the reality of this. He committed crimes. Now, you may feel that if it wasn't for all of this baloney that he wouldn't have been caught, but he was, and he did. There you go. To say to yourself, I'm not going to rule out pardoning him and then potentially pardoning him is ridiculous. I would be so pissed. You know, pardon Sheriff Joe. You knew he was going to do it. Wasn't a fan of it. Is what it is. This, though, and I think Manafort has done what Manafort, I think, has always thought, especially after being convicted and knowing how much time he was facing. All right, what can I do to play a game? How can I work some more of this to give me an opportunity to get into a position where Trump himself may feel like there's an opportunity? That's why Corsi and Roger Stone, two yahoos you probably couldn't pick out of a lineup if they were wearing those sandwich billboards with who they are and their Twitter handle, you probably still would know who the hell they are. But they aren't playing ball with Mueller because I think they feel, you know what, Trump will have our back. And if that's what this is going to be about. And it's one thing if you send emails or you did something and they're trying to get you in perjury. That's, you know what, if the political game you want to play with something like that, okay. If they're hammering you for perjury because you lied when you said I didn't meet with Russians, and you did meet with Russians, but nothing really came out of it, and that was your big, okay, fine, it's political. If you want to do that, If Manafort, though, it's a different story. This guy hid money, didn't pay taxes. He did a lot of shady things that were illegal. And to go and do something like that, if you pardon him, you know what? That's an ultimate clown move right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet us. People still talking about GM and the craziness of what's going on, and Trump is threatening to take away all of their stuff. You know, we're going to take away your subsidies, and we're going to do all of these you owe us, we bailed you out, blah, 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 blah. And the workers are starting to come to the realization.
Lots of questions for GM workers heading to the job following news that job may not exist in the weeks to come.
I don't know what to do next. I've been here for 4 years. Now my job about to be gone. It's just the way it is, nature of the business, but I thought they could have told everybody a while ago.
President Trump tweeting his administration is looking at cutting GM subsidies because of the move. The U.S. currently offers a federal tax credit of as much as $7,500 per new electric vehicle purchased in the U.S. GM says many impacted workers will have the opportunity to shift to other GM plants.
And it's not just, think about what GM's doing here, right? Part of it is, and I always talk about business in a way that if you, just like in sports, you have to adapt or die. Right? You look at pro football right now. If you think it's going to be, I'm going to hand the ball off to a guy, he's going to have 3 yards rush in a cloud of dust, and we'll throw it on third down, and that's what we're going to end up doing. No, it's a quarterback league, and you're going to put up Madden-like numbers. That's the way the world's going. You either adapt or you die. Right? That's it. You only have to be good on defense 1 or 2 times a game when you have a high-scoring offense, which everybody's got, except for the teams that suck. On the other side, just like in business, you either think about where the world's going, and that's what GM's doing. And it sounds, people are sad and all of these kind of things. But listen to this. This is the Uber CEO. They're talking about what's going to be happening in the future. And when you listen to him talk, it's very interesting because the future is not as far away as I think people think.
GM's president Dan Amon said just recently that they could make literally hundreds of thousands of dollars per car if you focus on ride sharing rather than just selling the cars themselves.
They're having a different conversation out in Silicon Valley. I just spoke to the Uber CEO, and he said that this idea of owning a car, they're hoping to replace that. And I think when we look at the future of self-driving cars, what's going to happen to drivers? There's a lot of fear there over those jobs. And this all kind of came out when I asked him the question of what does the city look like in 10 years?
Hopefully you won't own a car.
Yeah, right there. Hopefully you won't own a car. And that's city. Talking about rural. We're not talking about places where, you know what, you need to go. If you're in New York, you might not want to own a car. And a lot of people don't. They don't have to. Phil, you live out there in the Arlington, D.C. area. You don't have to own a car. You can get to and fro rather easily. Am I correct?
You are correct, sir.
There you go. So you don't need to own a car. But what they're looking at is nobody really needs to own a car. And it's very interesting. And this has been one of the models, not only self-driving cars, but other things that come with it. And because of that, GM's looking at the world right now and saying, we've got to adapt or die. Not only are we wasting money on middle management and it's making it tough for us to get things done because it's like turning a tugboat in a bathtub. It's just nearly impossible. But there are other things that can happen. And as people become less rural and more concentrated, that's what the world is going to become. Well, let's adapt to that in a business model.
You essentially come to us and we will give you the choice of whether you want to take regular Uber, you want to pool with someone, but we're also going to show you this is a bus stop that's next to you and a bus is going to be coming in 6 minutes from now. You can take the bus today, or you can take an electric bike or scooter today as well. We want to give you every single choice.
All right. I'm not taking an electric bike, and I'm sure they're not taking a scooter. 47 years old. And I got to be honest with you, 47, reflexes are still pretty damn good, but I'm going to look like an idiot, right? Like if you're a 47-year-old, hey, what's going on, guys? I'm on my scooter. You're kind of goofy. Younger kids, I get that. Millennials, absolutely. I see it all the time. They're flying around here in Tempe, and I see them all over the place. They got these things. But here's the other thing. At 47, and I think you guys know this, sometimes when you fall, you stay falled. And there's more and more injuries happening on these scooters. But I do like, in a way of where they're going. Like, it's what's your need? If your need is to just go in a very small area a couple times a week because more and more people are going to be telecommuting, then why own a car if you're really not going to use it? Because you can get to the whole thing is to build up, not out.
What do you say to the drivers who say, Dara, I'm afraid that I'm going to become irrelevant?
I think, first of all, I'd say I understand the fear. My experience every single time is that machines and humans are the thing that's superior. Self-driving technology for a long time is not going to work in every single use case. If there's a airport drop-off on pickups, like good luck for a machine to figure out exactly how to get there.
Yeah. So there's still going to be a need. And a lot of, I'm 47. I don't want to give up driving. I like my cars. I have a car. I'm looking to get an old truck. But I like to drive. I don't always want to drive, right? It's always nice every once in a while somebody else drives, but I don't mind it. But yeah, I'm going to, sooner rather than later, there's going to be options to have computers that happen to be computers first and cars second, take you to and fro.
The promise of autonomous is that it's going to bring the cost per mile of transportation on Uber, which right now is about double the cost of car ownership per mile, to essentially the cost of car ownership. When autonomous brings that cost down, we believe that we can replace car ownership itself.
Yeah, and that's what their goal is. Cleaner, right? Cleaner car, cleaner burning. And we're not talking about rural areas, and you may work 40 miles away from where you are. You're going to obviously still drive. And some of the older generation, but I think a younger generation, this is in the wheelhouse that they're looking for here. And this is where GM is saying, you know what, we need to be forward thinking because our sedans are awful and it's going to be a struggle for us to get ourselves in a position to be competitive unless we start to think right now. We can't be competitive tomorrow, but we can be competitive in 5 years. And that's what they're doing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. I do love hearing from you. I got to be honest with you. People are texting in saying, Chad, this is Watergate right in front of us with, look, I don't know what's going to be in the Mueller investigation. We'll touch on that in a little bit. I don't know. And I don't even know if we'll ever see it. But take Manafort away. Even if he had nothing to do with Russia, and any of this stuff, and he played a very minor role. It wasn't like he was there from start to finish with Trump. He was there for 90 days, 120 days, and the argument back and forth with him and Assange. The fact is even if there was no role he played in that, but he got investigated because they were turning over every rock to see if they did play a role, and they found out he committed crimes. That's the issue. He committed crimes. He may not have helped now President Trump, then candidate Trump, in any real big way, but he did still commit crimes. So pardoning for those things, I'm sorry. That's a clown move. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Got a question up on Twitter. I'll ask you about that. But first, kids, I want to talk to you about how I dress. Do you like it? Oh, you do? Well, it's not me. I don't pick out my stuff. Got a nice shirt on today. Got really cool, these awesome, like, jeans that are awesome, like skinny jeans almost, as I'm losing some weight and feeling good. Bombfell sets it up so it's so easy for me to shop. They send me clothes. I try them on in the comfort of my own home. If I like the clothes, I keep them. If I don't, I send them back. I've got my own stylist. His name is Michael. Picks out my stuff. It was easy to fill out their little questionnaire. Am I casual? Do I like to really dress up for work? What is my style like? You pick it out from there, and away it goes. The best brands in the world. The top best brands in the world. From the top stores, coming straight to you. That's what Bombfell offers you. When you buy multiple, you get a discount. That's awesome as well. And guys, you don't have to go and hang out and just walk around looking for your size and just getting frustrated and trying stuff on in that phone booth. Nope. Simple and easy. Comes straight to you. Try it on in the comfort of your own home. You can do it in your kitchen. You can do it anywhere else. Just put it on and you like it. And once you put on great clothes, you know how it feels. It's amazing. So that's what I want you to do. Go to bombfell.com/Benson. They're going to, right away, they're going to give you $25 off your first purchase. That's BOMBFELL.com/Benson for $25 off your first purchase. Bombfell.com/Benson. You're going to look amazing. You're going to look dazzling. People are like, you are dazzling. And you're going to be like, I know. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
Before the House Democratic Caucus vote, Nancy Pelosi met with the leaders of the so-called Never Nancy movement. Representative Seth Moulton says the goal, agree to a transition plan to allow a new generation of leadership to step forward. But Representative Kathleen Rice says Pelosi dismissed their concerns.
None of us wants to take this to a floor fight, but the voters have to be heard. We need to protect new members. I'm hoping that we will have additional conversations in the future.
Right now, Pelosi doesn't have the 218 votes needed to become the House Speaker in January.
No. But she's going to do it. And I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to make a deal. They're going to say, look, we'll allow you to be speaker. We'll get behind you. And you've got to promise us that this is it. You've got these 2 years, and then you've got to give it up. And I think that it's hard. You know what? This is what I think what Nancy will do. Nancy will say yes, and then 2 years rolls around, and if she's still feeling it, she's going to continue to do it. And we don't know what the political climate's going to look like in a couple of years. We don't. We have no idea what the political climate's going to look like in a couple of years, and it'll be very interesting to see how this goes. I mean, she is, she's Nancy. She's just there.
Are there dissenters? Yes, but I expect to have a powerful vote as we go forward.
Yeah. And who knows? What might be best for her or for Trump is that she doesn't have it. Trump can convince Republicans to get in on it because he knows in a weird way they may be allies to each other. And that could be very interesting. Absolutely could be very interesting to see what happens. And he's already said that. I called her that night and said, hey, if you need any votes, I might be able to get you some votes. That might be a help for Trump. Because remember, if there's going to be impeachment and investigations, it's all coming from the House. So if she needs the votes to get over the hump in the long term as they look at everything, and while the Democrats are now saying it isn't until till we get until January, now that fight's going to be there. I would be very interested to see how this plays itself out, and if he would be willing to do that, because she may say, cooler, calmer heads are going to prevail, and we don't want to do this. So they may, in a way, help each other. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Love it when you text us. Love it when you tweet at us, and you can always tweet at us, and check out the Facebook as well, Chad Benson Show. Interesting story about a woman who needs some medicine, and her insurance company says, why don't you go fund yourself? It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
A woman was apparently denied a heart transplant over money, and it suggested she tried fundraising. The letter, which was sent to Hedda Martin, said her situation was presented to a committee last month and was denied until she can secure more funding for immunosuppression medication coverage. Spectrum suggested Martin try to raise $10,000. The letter has now been shared online around the country this weekend, including by incoming U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, according to a GoFundMe page set up by her son. Meanwhile, Martin has been dealing with life-threatening congestive heart failure as a result of chemotherapy from 2005 for breast cancer treatment.
Okay, so they sent her a letter. It says, hey, you should go to GoFundMe because it's going to cost a lot of money, and you probably don't have that kind of money, and you can get the transplant, you get some of the stuff you need, and this is for a lot of people out there. You can get the things you need to save you now, but it's long-term. It's long-term. And healthcare is massive in this country. It's a huge part of our GDP. But on top of that, we worry about it every day. We worry about, do we have enough coverage? And we also worry about, can I even afford to pay for my coverage? We worry about, can I even get coverage in the area I'm at? It is a frustrating thing. And more people in this country are hearing stories like this. And then Spectrum, the company that is the insurance company, essentially fired back with this.
Spectrum Health has issued a statement on its website saying in part, quote, while our primary focus is the medical needs of the patient, the fact is that transplants require lifelong care and immunosuppression drugs, and therefore costs are sometimes a regrettable and unavoidable factor in the decision-making process, end quote. By the way, that GoFundMe has raised more than $13,000.
Yeah, and I'm sure over the coming weeks and months, it's going to raise tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this. And then it gets to the question about healthcare. So what do we do about healthcare, right? Because you hear single payer, right? The excitement of single payer. Let's single payer. Single payer sounds great because we all have what? We should have a right.
America today, we're told people have a right to health care.
Health care should be a right.
A right to all?
It's pretty basic. It's just the right thing to do.
Health care should be a right.
Okay, it should be a right? That's what you hear. The left loves this. The left absolutely loves this. I'm a person to say there's always some sort of happy medium in these things. Let's be pragmatic about this. Let's find out how we can have some trade-offs. It's not going to be perfect. No system is ever perfect. But there's ways of going about doing it. But what you hear all the time from the left is it's a right and that we should be able to everybody should be able to get it. And then it always sounds like a wonderful thing.
The real question is who pays for it. And that's really not a rights question.
Chris Pope of the Manhattan Institute City Journal studies healthcare around the world. Some countries have single-payer systems, meaning government pays for everything. That's what progressives want for America.
Never again in America does anyone go bankrupt just because they got sick. Never.
Woo! Hiawatha. I'll translate that for you guys. I forgot. You guys don't speak Native American. You guys don't speak 1024th Native American. Never again will people in America go bankrupt because of medical. I don't think people should. I don't. I do not think people should go bankrupt. It is awful. There's ways that we can go about doing this. And for all the money we waste, you can look around there and say there's a bunch of pork out there and people are getting fed. But the American people, no, not so much. But he's right. Who pays for it? Because we hear, oh, this is a Scandinavian model, or it's this model, or it's that model. It's always not America's model that anybody wants to go after, because America has the worst of the worst of the worst. And I will tell you this, having lived in Europe, having been in socialized medicine in the UK, if you break a leg, if you have a run-of-the-mill injury or sickness, it's great to be there. If you're really sick, get to America.
What single payer would do is it would make the government responsible for everybody. Instead of the government being able to focus its resources on the gaps in coverage, on the people who can't provide for themselves, the government would actually end up spending most of the money on people who are perfectly able to purchase their own insurance.
Oh, and whenever I talk to anybody who's always, well, we should just have single payer, I'm like, well, single payer is who? It's everybody. People in the countries that have single payer, which is like Norway and the UK and Canada, what happens is you are the single payer. They're taking a vast amount of taxes out of you, and or they're hitting you with value-added tax, which means that they're putting taxes on goods to the tune of 15, 25% in some areas, meaning everything you buy now. So imagine this. You go down the street and you buy something, right? Your widget. Your widget normally costs $10 plus 10% state or local tax, whatever it is in your city or municipality, your sales tax and stuff. But on top of that, they added another 25%. So it's going to disproportionately hurt the people who are at the bottom of the ladder, because it's going to affect their cash flow and their income far more than somebody who's wealthy. And by the way, a lot of countries that we think, oh, they're all socialized medicine, they're not.
In England, France, Germany, they have single payer and they're happy.
Well, that's really not the case. In Germany, employers provide most of the health care and fund most of the health care, just as they do in the United States.
In France, too.
There are private insurance companies. Employers fund health care. People pay out of pocket the same way that they do in the United States.
So who does have single payer?
Canada, Norway, England.
Yeah, there are some countries out there that have it. It's the how do we pay for it? That's the big question. We could cut in a lot of places. We could try to do some things, or we can start to figure out ways of reducing the ridiculous cost of things that in the medical world, when you look at the bills and you're like, wait, what? That tube cost how much? Are you kidding me? It's insane. It really is. But one of the things that people don't understand is America, because money's in it, we produce the vast majority of life-saving drugs, and those other countries, kind of like NATO, those other countries get those drugs at less than cost, and they're able to do things a lot cheaper. It's crazy. It is. But when you hear people go bankrupt, and when you hear people like this, you understand why people are frustrated in this country. I'm frustrated because I know there's ways out there of doing this in a real, serious way and getting this done. There absolutely is. Maybe it's like, look, if there should be levels. Maybe at level whatever, the government takes over, and you break your arm. That's on your insurance that you have. But you need a heart transplant, you have certain disease, whatever it is, maybe the government then comes in, takes over, and covers the cost. We can figure something out. When I was in England, I bought supplemental insurance, so that way I could see my general practitioner that I needed to see, because the person who was in my precinct, as we called it, when I got really sick, I couldn't go to them because they didn't have time to get me in. It's frustrating. But when you hear a story of a woman being told basically go try a GoFundMe because you're screwed, that's the frustrating thing. And people go, I'm over this. And if it's not the cost, for a lot of people, it's just the headache and the frustration. There's a lot of things that go into it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Immigration still being crazy at the border, but things are starting to change.
This is the breakfast line here at the shelter for the migrant caravan, and this is some of those women and children that you've been seeing, and some of them may be eligible for asylum in the United States. They are the minority of this caravan. Instead, most of the members of this caravan, this is a line for single men that you can see, and it stretches much longer as it does every single morning. Many of these men tell us that they heard in Honduras that it would be easy to cross into the United States. Some of them told us that they had heard that there were work programs that they would be eligible for. And so now that they are here in Tijuana and they have realized that it's very difficult to get into the United States.
Yeah. So somewhere along the line, people are being told, hey, it's easy to get into America. And when you get there, they got programs for you to set up that are going to help you succeed. That's one of the reasons a lot of people came here. It absolutely is. This has been known for a while. In Mexico, they used to run commercials telling people about the programs that were on offer here for people to come to the United States. I worked in San Diego. We were owned by a company that owned stations both in Mexico and the United States. And those were some of the things that were on there. It was incredible to, because we play commercials that were English language talking about, hey, you need to go home and you need to vote. Right? You need to get back to your state. You need to vote. And at the same time, there were other commercials talking about how, because we'd have both commercials farm them out to the stations over there, talking about come here and there are programs for you. They were sold a bill of goods. They're frustrated. These people showed up. They made a huge trek. Why? Because they're big money. Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and even Mexico. Their biggest export, in a lot of ways, is their human capital. They're human beings. They go out, they work in places like the United States, and then they can care for people back in their home countries that are their relatives. They repatriate that money back there. That's a huge issue if the border gets shut down to the point where they can't come across here. Plus, they've got relatives here saying, well, we did it, and you can come here, and there was a lot of help, and there were programs, and you're not totally out in the cold, and, it depends on what state you're in and all of these kind of things. They're pissed now, and they're like, you know what? This isn't exactly what we were told.
Some of them are deciding to turn back. This is a tent that's been set up by a bunch of different governmental agencies here in Mexico. But this is where people come if they want to go back to Honduras or Guatemala or El Salvador. These are people that have decided that it is time to go back and that they don't have the opportunities that they wanted here.
Yeah, and they're going to head back, and they're frustrated, and Trump has been steadfast. This thing is stopping. It's stopping at the wall. It's stopping the way it's been done. We're going to have a new way of things getting done, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. What I do know is there's a government shutdown on the way if he doesn't get the money he wants for that damn wall, and it's $5 billion. Schumer's saying, we're not going to give it to you. But if these people would have gotten through, and who knows what will happen in the coming subsequent days and weeks ahead of us, if they are turn back or they get through, you're going to have a chain reaction. If they're turned back, people are going to be like, look, this guy was serious. If they somehow manage to get through, a good vast majority of them, there'll be tens of thousands more in the coming weeks and months and years. It is a standoff at the border. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. At your Twitter, 323-538-CHAD is the text line. Love hearing from you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what? So, I am 47 years young. Less than a month, I will turn 48 years old. As a kid growing up, as a child in America growing up, I loved Christmas. Still do. Still enjoy Christmas. Absolutely love it. And I love Christmas specials. I love the holiday specials, right? Thanksgiving, you had the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special, which was called racist because one of the kids who was black didn't sit at the table with everybody else. So, of course, Twitter notices stuff because people are looking out for things like that. That's what they're angry from jump So they go with it. So Rudolph was on. Classic. Claymation. Right? Great. Just a great claymation. Love it. We know the story of Rudolph, right? He's a reindeer, for God's sakes. A red-nosed reindeer. Oh, his nose glows. But people started tweeting about it. How horrible it was. How it wasn't inclusive. How he was bullied by everybody. How horrible and awful it is. Once again, taking themselves too seriously. Yes. You know what? I guess if you grow up in this generation, it's not Rudolph the inclusive trans reindeer. It's just the regular old Rudolph the reindeer.
Look at the beach. Look at the beach. Fire snow. Rainbow boys. Stop calling me names. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
Donner, you should be ashamed of yourself. What a pity. He had a nice takeoff, too.
All right now, Yennings. Back to practice. Oh, no. Not you. You better go home with your folks. From now on, gang, we won't let Rudolph join in any reindeer games, right?
Okay, so you listen to that, and we know what it is, right? We understand, because we all listened to it. We all watched it. We all loved it. We sang the damn song like a light bulb. Remember that? Stop ruining my childhood memories. You look at it, and this is the way I think kids and millennials and people who are social justice warriors, no matter what age, look at things. Is the glass is not only half empty, it's broken. They need somebody to help clean it up, and they want an apology, even though they may have broken it. Like, everything is bad. Like, if we remember the little engine that could, if it came out today, people would be mad because the little engine wasn't given government help and subsidies and free housing and a better engine to get up and over, and that the mount itself was oppressive. I mean, we can make something up, and we could probably, people would buy into it. Same thing here. I look at it like, you know what, Rudolph wasn't a Richard, stayed the course, showed everybody he could do it, and had a talent that nobody else did in a time of need. Now, the next year, it could have been a clear year, and we could have been like, Rudolph, we don't need you, but thanks a lot, brother. Right? Thanks a lot. But you're ruining everything. I watch old television, like The Gunsmoke, one of my favorite shows in the world, if not my favorite show. And I think to myself, I hope no millennial watches this. I hope no social justice warrior watches this. I hope no crazy, we need to make the world a better place. Let's forget what it was like back when, and let's get rid of this. Because that's what they're calling for, right? That's what they're calling for. It is just, stop ruining my memories. Stop ruining my childhood memories by getting rid of stuff today that you don't find to be politically correct in the world that we live in today, because you're driving me crazy. And this is how you get Donald Trump to be president, because you go to the point of insanity where you pick everything apart and you look for all of the wrong, and you whine, bitch, and moan, and you hope you get a trophy, and you feel that you're able to pick and put your nose in every damn place you think you can, and people get sick and tired of it. It's the damn reindeer, and he's a badass. Let's just leave it at that, okay? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AMAC, amazing. Medicare open enrollments right now. How would you like to have your own dedicated agent to help you walk through all of that stuff? They're working with Senior Resource Network. But on top of that, politically, they're advocating for you for everything from smart immigration reform, common sense immigration reform, to health care and so much more. And they have so many benefits, too numerous to mention. 40% off movie tickets, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts. And did I mention it's free? Oh, yeah, it's free. Join it. It is free. They don't even want your credit card. 1 year free. It's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. AMAC offers an alternative to just about everything and every benefit that ARP offers without a liberal agenda. Simple and easy. Join for free 1 year right now. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. AMAC is better. Better for you, better for America. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Tweet at us. Text us. Do whatever you feel. Carrier pigeon. We're good with that as well, kids. That's how we roll here. We're open to all lines of communication, except for the phone, because we're not good with the phone. Chad Benson Show.
This is The Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
For a woman who was apparently denied a heart transplant over money, and it suggested she try fundraising. The letter, which was sent to Hedda Martin, said her situation was presented to a committee last month and was denied until she can secure more funding for immunosuppression medication coverage. Spectrum suggested Martin try to raise $10,000. The letter has now been shared online around the country this weekend, including by incoming U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, according to a GoFundMe page set up by her son. Meanwhile, Martin has been dealing with life-threatening congestive heart failure as a result of chemotherapy from 2005 for breast cancer treatment.
Okay, so they sent her a letter. It says, hey, you should go to GoFundMe because it can cost a lot of money, and you probably don't have that kind of money, and you can get the transplant, you get to some of the stuff you need, and this is for a lot of people out there. You can get the things you need to save you now, but it's long-term. It's long-term. And healthcare is massive in this country. It's a huge part of our GDP. But on top of that, we worry about it every day. We worry about, do we have enough coverage? And we also worry about, can I even afford to pay for my coverage? We worry about, can I even get coverage in the area I'm at? It is a frustrating thing. And more people in this country are hearing stories like this. And then Spectrum, the company that is the insurance company, essentially fired back with this.
Spectrum Health has issued a statement on its website saying in part, quote, while our primary focus is the medical needs of the patient, the fact is that transplants require lifelong care and immunosuppression drugs, and therefore costs are sometimes a regrettable and unavoidable factor in the decision-making process, end quote. By the way, that GoFundMe has raised more than $13,000.
Yeah, and I'm sure over the coming weeks and months, it's going to raise tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this. And then it gets to the question about healthcare. So what do we do about healthcare, right? Because you hear single payer, right? The excitement of single payer. Let's single payer. Single payer sounds great because we all have what? We should have a right.
In America today, we're told people have a right to health care.
Health care should be a right.
A right to all?
It's pretty basic. It's just the right thing to do.
Health care should be a right.
Okay, it should be a right? That's what you hear. The left loves this. The left absolutely loves this. I'm a person to say there's always some sort of happy medium in these things. Let's be pragmatic about this. Let's find out how we can have some trade-offs. It's not going to be perfect. No system is ever perfect. But there's ways of going about doing it. But what you hear all the time from the left is it's a right and that we should be able to everybody should be able to get it. And then it always sounds like a wonderful thing.
The real question is who pays for it. And that's really not a rights question.
Chris Pope of the Manhattan Institute City Journal studies healthcare around the world. Some countries have single-payer systems, meaning government pays for everything. That's what progressives want for America.
Never again in America does anyone go bankrupt just because they got sick. Never.
Woo! Hiawatha. I'll translate that for you guys. I forgot. You guys don't speak Native American. You guys don't speak 1024th Native American. Never again will people in America go bankrupt because of medical. I don't think people should. I don't. I do not think people should go bankrupt. It is awful. There's ways that we can go about doing this. And for all the money we waste, you can look around there and say there's a bunch of pork out there and people are getting fed. But the American people, no, not so much. But he's right. Who pays for it? Because we hear, oh, this is a Scandinavian model, or it's this model, or it's that model. It's always not America's model that anybody wants to go after, because America has the worst of the worst of the worst. And I will tell you this, having lived in Europe, having been in socialized medicine in the UK, if you break a leg, if you have a run-of-the-mill injury or sickness, it's great to be there. If you're really sick, get to America.
What single payer would do is it would make the government responsible for everybody. Instead of the government being able to focus its resources on the gaps in coverage, on the people who can't provide for themselves, the government would actually end up spending most of the money on people who are perfectly able to purchase their own insurance.
Oh, And whenever I talk to anybody who's always like, well, we should just have single payer, I'm like, well, single payer is who? It's everybody. People in the countries that have single payer, which is like Norway and the UK and Canada, what happens is you are the single payer. They're taking a vast amount of taxes out of you, and or they're hitting you with value added tax, which means that they're putting taxes on goods to the tune of 15, 25% in some areas, meaning everything you buy now. So imagine this. You go down the street and you buy something, right? Your widget. Your widget normally costs $10 plus 10% state or local tax, whatever it is in your city or municipality, your sales tax and stuff. But on top of that, they added another 25%. So it's going to disproportionately hurt the people who are at the bottom of the ladder because it's going to affect their cash flow and their income far more than somebody who's wealthy. And by the way, a lot of countries that we think, oh, they're all socialized medicine, they're not.
In England, France, Germany, they have single payer and they're happy.
Well, that's really not the case. In Germany, employers provide most of the health care and fund most of the health care just as they do in the United States.
In France, too.
There are private insurance companies. Employers fund health care. People pay out of pocket the same way that they do in the United States.
So who does have single payer?
Canada, Norway, England.
Yeah, there are some countries out there that have it. It's the how do we pay for it? That's the big question. We could cut in a lot of places. We could try to do some things, or we can start to figure out ways of reducing the ridiculous cost of things that in the medical world, when you look at the bills and you're like, wait, what? That tube cost how much? Are you kidding me? It's insane. It really is. But one of the things that people don't understand is America, because money's in it, we produce the vast majority of life-saving drugs. And those other countries, kind of like NATO, those other countries get those drugs at less than cost, and they're able to do things a lot cheaper. It's crazy. It is. But when you hear people go bankrupt, and when you hear people like this, you understand why people are frustrated in this country. I'm frustrated because I know there's ways out there of doing this in a real, serious way and getting this done. There absolutely is. Maybe it's like, look, if there should be levels, maybe at level whatever, the government takes over and, you break your arm, that's on your insurance that you have. But you need a heart transplant, you have certain disease, whatever it is, maybe the government then comes in, takes over, and covers the cost. We can figure something out. When I was in England, I bought supplemental insurance, so that way I could see my general practitioner that I needed to see, because the person who was in my precinct, as we called it, when I got really sick, I couldn't go to them because they didn't have time to get me in. It's frustrating. But when you hear a story of a woman being told basically go try a GoFundMe because you're screwed, that's the frustrating thing. And people go, I'm over this. And if it's not the cost, for a lot of people, it's just the headache and the frustration. There's a lot of things that go into it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Immigration still being crazy at the border, but things are starting to change.
This is the breakfast line here at the shelter for the migrant caravan, and this is some of those women and children that you've been seeing, and some of them may be eligible for asylum in the United States. They are the minority of this caravan. Instead, most of the members of this caravan, this is a line for single men that you can see, and it stretches much longer as it does every single morning. Many of these men tell us that they heard in Honduras that it would be easy to cross into the United States. Some of them told us that they had heard that there were work programs that they would be eligible for. And so now that they are here in Tijuana and they have realized that it's very difficult to get into the United States.
Yeah. So somewhere along the line, people are being told, hey, it's easy to get into America. And when you get there, they got programs for you to set up that are going to help you succeed. That's one of the reasons a lot of people came here. It absolutely is. This has been known for a while. In Mexico, they used to run commercials telling people about the programs that were on offer here for people to come to the United States. I worked in San Diego. We were owned by a company that owned stations both in Mexico and the United States. And those were some of the things that were on there. It was incredible to, because we play commercials that were English language talking about, hey, you need to go home and you need to vote, right? You need to get back to your state. You need to vote. And at the same time, there were other commercials talking about how, because we'd have both commercials farm them out to the stations over there, talking about come here and there are programs for you. They were sold a bill of goods. They're frustrated. These people showed up. They made a huge trek. Why? Because they're big money. Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and even Mexico. Their biggest export in a lot of ways is their human capital. They're human beings. They go out, they work in places like the United States, and then they can care for people back in their home countries that are their relatives. They repatriate that money back there. That's a huge issue if the border gets shut down to the point where they can't come across here. Plus, they've got relatives here saying, well, we did it, and you can come here, and there was a lot of help, and there were programs, and you're not totally out in the cold, and, it depends on what state you're in and all of these kind of things. They're pissed now, and they're like, you know what? This isn't exactly what we were told.
Some of them are deciding to turn back. This is a tent that's been set up by a bunch of different governmental agencies here in Mexico. But this is where people come if they want to go back to Honduras or Guatemala or El Salvador. These are people that have decided that it is time to go back and that they don't have the opportunities that they wanted here.
Yeah, and they're going to head back, and they're frustrated, and Trump has been steadfast. This thing is stopping. It's stopping at the wall. It's stopping the way it's been done. We're going to have a new way of things getting done, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. What I do know is there's a government shutdown on the way if he doesn't get the money he wants for that damn wall, and it's $5 billion. Schumer's saying, we're not going to give it to you. But if these people would have gotten through, and who knows what will happen in the coming subsequent days and weeks ahead of us, if they are turn back or they get through, you're going to have a chain reaction. If they're turned back, people are going to be like, look, this guy was serious. If they somehow manage to get through, a good vast majority of them, there'll be tens of thousands more in the coming weeks and months and years. It is a standoff at the border. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. A lot of stuff to talk to you. I'm talking a little bit about millennials and the social justice warriors who are continuing to ruin my childhood memories. I'm sick and tired of every one of you ruining my childhood memories. Enough with your whininess. Sometimes, as Frozen said, you just gotta let it go. Just let it go. Butcher Box. It's the best gift you can get a vegan. Wouldn't you agree with me, Producer Phil?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm getting all my vegan friends this year. What is Butcher Box? Is it vegetables? No, that's disgusting. It's meat delivered right to your door every month. Right there to your door. Who is it? It's Butcher Box. Oh, open the door. There it is. Like a treasure chest, a trove of wonderful meats. Butcher Box. They've got beef, grass-fed, grass-finished, chicken, organic, free-ranging. They're just ranging around. They're over here. They're over there. Right? Pork. Tastes amazing. Why? Because they're raised in a way that they keep their fat and flavor. It's supposed to be that way. How about this? It's going to come to your door. Less than $6 a meal. You're going to get a month's worth of food. Less than $6 of meat right there to your door. And get ready for this. This is what they're doing for my listeners. That's you guys out there. $20 off right now. Plus bacon for the life of the subscription. How do you get it? Go to butcherbox.com/Chad. That's butcherbox.com/Chad. Hurry, though. Offer in soon. Butcherbox.com/Chad. You're going to love it. It's going to taste delicious. At Chad Benson Show. At your Twitter, 323-538-CHAD is the text line. Love hearing from you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Lots of questions for GM workers heading to the job following news that job may not exist in the weeks to come.
I don't know what to do next. I've been here for 4 years. Now my job about to be gone.
It's just the way it is, nature of the business, but I thought they could have told everybody a while ago.
President Trump tweeting his administration is looking at cutting GM subsidies because of the move. The U.S. currently offers a federal tax credit of as much as $7,500 per new electric vehicle purchased in the U.S. GM says many impacted workers will have the opportunity to shift to other GM plants.
You know, government can be the biggest, not the biggest helper, but the biggest pain in the ass when it comes to our economy. 43% of Americans think if anything bad's going to happen to our economy in the next 6 months to a year, it's going to be because of bad government, which I think is absolutely a possibility between the tariffs and the trade wars and a bunch of other stuff that's going on. And yeah, I think that's the fear of what the Democrats may do, and the fight that's on there, and that stuff starts to stall. They want to repeal the tax cuts, things. Yeah, that is always a possibility. 100%. It is a possibility. But this, as I've tried to explain to people yesterday, and I don't think, sometimes I'm like, is my English poor? I feel like maybe it's bad. Like, am I not enunciating? Are you not getting it? This has nothing to do with anything other than, did the steel tariffs potentially hurt? Yeah, that's a potential. But the reality is what it wouldn't have mattered what. It wouldn't matter if they've got the steel for free. The cars they were building weren't good. Right? That right there is a big problem. If your product sucks, doesn't matter how good the economy is. But people text me and tweeted at me, and you're a jerk, you're a horrible person, all of these kind of things. I'm like, I don't think you're understanding how the economy works. When you go and look at sedans in particular, look who makes the best sedans rated by people across the board. It isn't GM, it isn't Ford, it's Honda. It's Toyota. You get where I'm going with this? It's the Japanese sedans. That's what people are buying. They're not buying these. These cars weren't up to snuff. Your product wasn't good. I can't blame the workers for that because they didn't design it. But people don't want it. It's that simple. It's pretty easy, like economics 101. Put out a good product at a decent price, people will buy it. Put out a crappy product, even at a cheap price, nobody's buying it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Talk more about cars. Plus, millennials continue to ruin my memories from childhood. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I like my car. Looking to get an old truck. What's the future of cars, though? And when you look at millennials, they don't really want cars, right? That's not their thing. I mean, they like to get from to and fro, but that's what ride-sharing services are like. And GM's closing down. Why? They're focusing on driverless cars and energy-efficient cars. Mostly electric cars. But Uber CEO Karwashan, I think his name, Karwashan, talked about where car ownership is going. And when you hear where he thinks it's going, you think, oh, but when you hear the time frame, that's going to be interesting.
GM's president, Dan Amon, said just recently that they could make literally hundreds of thousands of dollars per car if you focus on ride sharing rather than just selling the cars themselves.
They're having a different conversation out in Silicon Valley. I just spoke to the Uber CEO, and he said that this idea of owning a car, they're hoping to replace that. And I think when we look at the future of self-driving cars, what's going to happen to drivers? There's a lot of fear there over those jobs. And this all kind of came out when I asked him the question of what does the city look like in 10 years?
Hopefully you won't own a car.
Wow. That's 10 years, right? That's 10 years. Now, we'll all own cars. People still going to want to drive. Some people just enjoy the driving. They're not going to outlaw you owning a car. The whole thought process is, why would you own a car if you could have people take you, or a machine, if you will, a computer that is a car, but it's computer first, take you to and fro?
You essentially come to us and we will give you the choice of whether you want to take regular Uber, you want to pool with someone, but we're also going to show you this is a bus stop that's next to you and a bus is going to be coming in 6 minutes from now. You can take the bus today, or you can take an electric bike or scooter today as well. We want to give you every single choice.
Yeah, and scooters are popping up everywhere. Uber and Lyft and everybody are investing in those little scooters. I've got news for you. I'm 47 years old. I'm not getting on a scooter because I'm a grown-ass man. Right? I'm just going to let you guys know that. I'm not getting on a scooter. I don't care how fast it goes because I'm 47 years old. I'm a grown-ass man, and the last thing I need to do is crash my scooter. Like, could you imagine going into the hospitals? What happened to you? Car accident? Nope, scooter accident. I was going really fast on my scooter. I was scootering along and it crashed, bro. Not going to happen. But that's out there. And millennials, you know, this is like for a lot of people, like the green people in particular, but the political side of the green people, if you will, who their whole thing is, we're going to get rid of cars. We're going to kill greenhouse emissions. We're going to kill the CO2. We're going to kill all of the stuff that makes everything bad. We're going to get rid of all of the toxins in the air. We're going to do all of these things. And what we need to do is we need to force people into several areas where they just have an area where they work, live, and commute. San Francisco, right? New York. LA's huge. Nobody lives in Los Angeles, right? Sacramento, you know, Orlando, Miami. It's a little bit bigger places, right? But their whole thing is they would like to build up rather than out. And then everybody can kind of, you know, get around in a locale, which is also supposed to help the environment. But there are still going to be people that like to read the newspaper, that like to read a book just by turning the pages, that want to drive cars.
What do you say to the drivers who say, Dara, I'm afraid that I'm going to become irrelevant?
I think, first of all, I'd say I understand the fear. My experience every single time is that machines and humans are the thing that's superior. Self-driving technology for a long time is not going to work in every single use case. You know, if there's a airport drop-off on pickups, like good luck for a machine to figure out exactly how to get there.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. So there's still going to be a need. But you also have to look at where we're going as a country. A younger generation is getting out of college. Normally, in generations past, a younger generation get out of college with minimal debt, get their first job, and buy a house, buy a car, do those kind of things. Younger generations getting out now, they already have a house payment. They're saddled with a house payment that they're probably not going to pay off for decades. So they're starting behind it. Transportation, they've been using Uber and Lyft. They're growing up with it. So for them, it is going to be the future, and their future's coming fast. Generation X, my generation, will dabble a little bit of both. Older generations, they're probably not going to. Right? Some hipper, cooler ones will. Some will do some Lyft. Some will do some, but they're still going to want to have their own, you know, autonomy. But a younger generations, they're going to embrace this, right? They don't have to own a car. They can get a membership, which is where I see all of these companies going, right? You buy a membership and think about this. You've got a car, you've got a fleet of cars, and let's say you have 1,000 cars in an area. And in this, just in a particular area, not just talking about for a city, but in a particular area, and everybody's paying $200 a month, and you've got tens of thousands of people that are putting money into that because everybody's working at different times. It's going to be, that's why they're looking at it and say, hey, man, we're giving away something for 20, 30, 40, 50 grand when we can charge over and over and over and over again for it because these people only want to go to and fro. It's not their lifestyle.
The promise of autonomous is that it's going to bring the cost per mile of transportation on Uber, which right now is about double the cost of car ownership per mile, to essentially the cost of car ownership. When autonomous brings that cost down, we believe that we can replace car ownership itself.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where they're headed. And I think they're going to get there sooner rather than later in certain areas of the country. rural areas that are more spread out, right? You work 35, 40 miles from work, and then you've got to go somewhere afterwards. People are still going to want their individuality and their autonomy to be able to go get in their car and go. But for a younger generation, this is going to be their way of life. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. The witch hunt is on. That's what everybody calls it, right? It's a witch hunt. Sarah Huckabee Sanders talking about the Mueller report and all this stuff.
Certainly the president has voiced his unhappiness from the beginning that this has gone on, this ridiculous witch hunt for more than 2 years. Still nothing that ties anything to the president. We'd like to see it come to a conclusion.
Well, I think it's going to come to conclusion sooner rather than later. What Mueller's waiting for, I don't know. The Manafort stuff, which was coming out yesterday, and the fight that's going on between Manafort and Mueller, and did he or did he not? Is it real? Is it lies? Is it fake news? Whatever you want to call it. He's been lying to he's been lying to Mueller, which is not a shock. But did he meet with Assange?
The latest developments center on former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who, as you know, is still holed up inside Ecuador's embassy in London, where he's been hiding for years. When we left you last night, Manafort had just been accused in a court filing of repeatedly lying to investigators, thereby breaching his plea deal with the special counsel. Then today, this. Britain's Guardian newspaper reporting that Manafort met secretly with Assange several times at the Ecuador embassy in London.
Now, did he or didn't he? Right? That's the big question.
According to The Guardian, one such meeting took place around March of 2016, just months before WikiLeaks released Democratic emails believed to have been stolen by Russian intelligence officers. Now, The Guardian, whose reporting this is, says it's unclear why Manafort saw Assange or what was discussed. And I should point out that both WikiLeaks and Manafort strongly deny the meeting ever took place at all. Manafort today says he doesn't even know Assange.
Yeah, said not only that, WikiLeaks went so far as to say, hey, prove it. Prove that they met. Prove that they did, and we'll give you $1 million, Guardian. Prove. We'll give you $1 million if you can prove that this happened. And, of course, for Mueller, it's about tying together everything, right? It's about tying it all together. But for the American people, I think we're just at the point, it's like, just this investigation has gone on for 2+ years. Right. And people go, well, look how long it took Watergate. Yeah. Investigation has gone on for 2+ years. It has started in one area. It is fanned out to several other areas, from campaign finance rules with prostitutes, adult actresses. Did I say prostitute? I felt like I said prostitute, but I think I meant adult film actress, and a Playboy playmate, to, did he lie about this? Did he know about this? What about, obstruction of justice and perjury? It's all over the place. And I think people, Americans, they just, like, at some point in time, are we going to be into this 12, 15 years from now? And I understand Trump's frustration, right? Trump's frustration has, my biggest contention with any of this is, his frustration is that for a lot of people, he is a president with an asterisk by his name. It delegitimizes his presidency in his mind. Now, those people can't stand him. They hate him. But if there was none of this, right, because they're still trying to figure out how she lost, but if there was none of this, they could say, oh, my, this is why. This right here is why. Because of this. But if there was none of this, he would say, I can't stand him. I think he's a horrible human being, but he's still a president. And I think a lot of people are there. I don't know. They're waiting for their booby prize, if you will. They're waiting for their I got a second place trophy, but just in case this person could not fulfill their duties prize. And I think that drives him crazy. And somebody tweeted earlier or texted earlier said, well, when he wins in 2020, then he'll be legitimate. Yeah, if he runs. Right? If he runs. Trump's a smart guy. He may look up in a year and say, you know what? I'm not getting anything done. This has become a nightmare. It's torn my life apart. I've lost $1 billion+ and my name's been torn through the mud at some point in time. I'm just going to say, I tried to clean the swamp. This swamp is full of nothing but poisonous critters. And even the ones who say they want to clean the swamp are boom. Or somewhere along the line, there could be something in this Mueller report. And he may say, I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. You don't know. We don't know. And I don't even know if we'll ever see the damn thing. That right there is something. I don't know if we'll ever see this thing. We may or may not. But it is getting to him. You have to understand, it is eating him up right now. He's pissed. And not just because he's angry and he's worried about something. I think every day he feels like he's getting, in some way, shape, or form, it's taking a little bit away from his presidency and his legitimacy as the president. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. All right, gold. A lot of you bought gold because you thought the world was coming to an end. The last president was destroy the world. Everybody was fear. It's crazy. We're all going to have to live off of, fruits and nuts and gold, and we'll have to trade for stuff. And then you bought gold, and oh my God. And now it's sitting there. You got it in some storage. It's not doing anything for you. And you're like, man, I don't want to really sell it, but I'd like to get some money and do something. Now you can with Glint. Glint's amazing. So what they've done, the two founders, Jason and Ben, they have put it together in a way that is just the most amazing way. It's incredible. You can now use your gold as a form of payment. How, you ask? You're going to get issued a MasterCard debit card. You're going to be able to go and spend right off the gold you have. That's what's incredible. Right off the gold you have, you're going to be able to spend off of it. It is amazing what they have done. They're revolutionizing it. Some people want to keep their gold, but they'd like to spend a little bit of it. Well, now wherever electronic payments are taken, you can. It's regulated and safe choice. That's what gold is. More control for you. Better choice for you. Check it out for yourself. Go to glintpay.com. GLINTpay.com. Gold is the most reliable store of value. Glint is the only way to spend it. Go to glintpay.com today. glintpay.com. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. ChadBenson. I've had enough of you social justice warriors ruining my childhood memories. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
I'm going to tell you guys this. I loved classic TV shows. This time of year, classic TV shows come on, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? We all know the song. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I think written by the old great Gene Autry. But social justice warriors watched it the other night and went after it. Now, coming from the world that they live in, and what's always amazing is you don't see what Rudolph did, right? You see what everybody else does.
Look at the beach. Look at the beach. Fire snow. Rainbow paws. Stop calling me names. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Donner, you should be ashamed of yourself. What a pity. He had a nice takeoff, too.
All right now, Yellings. Back to practice. Oh, no. Not you. You better go home with your folks. From now on, gang, we won't let Rudolph join in any reindeer games, right?
Oh, okay. In today's world of everybody gets a trophy and we have to be totally inclusive, it's awful. Not looking over the fact that Rudolph brought something else and they needed him, and people took to what? They took to Twitter and they took to destroy. Nothing says holiday spirit quite like dissecting hashtag Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and realizing almost everyone is an ass. Come legit, encouraging bully and exclusion. They're serious. They're serious. My biggest takeaway, saddest takeaway, is how dismissive and mean hashtag Santa is when they first meet the red-nosed reindeer. This should be pulled. Why is Dolly for Sue on the island of Misfit Toys? The girls, that's a big one. Why is she there? Why is she there? It's insane. People, what is wrong with you? You sit around all day. Don't ruin my childhood memories. You look at it as, look what happened. They made fun of Rudolph. They were horrible to Rudolph. Yet Rudolph was stand-up. Rudolph had something that made him unique And rather than just go, fine, I quit. Everybody, this is what I can do. And eat, you know what? And mom, dad, make them allow me to play. No. He didn't quit. He didn't give up. Right? He got to lead the sleigh. How about that? But they also talk about, on the Misfit Toys, you've got this, and then you've got the part where the elf throws the bird who says he can't fly out of the sleigh, and he didn't give him an umbrella, and why every year do they kill the bird? This is what people stop ruining my memories, right? I don't give a rat's ass. You can have your politically correct Christmas all you want. You wouldn't even call it Christmas, right? Do whatever you want to call it. Leave my memories alone. Stop trying to take my stuff away. This is why people get pissed. This is, right? You know, Kevin Hart has a cowboy and Indian party for his kids, and people destroy him. Let it go. Let it freaking go. Leave my memories to myself and everybody else of my generation, and we won't bug you about your dumbass memories that you're creating now that are no fun. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Your useless fact of the day on this hump day. Cool as a cucumber. You know that saying? Why do they have that saying? Since the 1800s, they've always said that. But it wasn't until 1970s that they actually could prove that a cucumber is usually about 20 degrees cooler than what it is outside. Hence the reason they say you're as cool as a cucumber. Have a good rest of your day. Got you over the hump. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.